Okie doke. So I'm gonna try and give a quick tutorial on how I make edits and stuff. So I just have a picture of Timekeeper here because Timekeeper is peak. Sue me, right? But so I'm gonna show keyframes, text, a little bit maybe. So first off, keyframes. So these are keyframes. You can find them on CapCut. I edit on my phone. It might be different if you edit on like laptop or something. Keyframes are right here. I'm clicking on it right next to the back button and the go forward button. So you can click on the keyframe where you want the keyframe to start. So let's say I wanted to start it at the beginning. So the edit will start right there. And then what you do is you click it again on the back, and then you move the photo wherever you want. Do not move your scroller back here, because then you can go back here and reset where you want it to start. If you try and move it here, it'll create a new keyframe, etc. So if I go here, let's say I want it to zoom in on Timekeeper. She looks so menacing here. It'll play like this, right? And then you have this thing called graphs, where or how it will zoom in. So there's many different like versions of how it zooms in. My favorite thing, I default to flow 2, where it flows and then it pauses slightly in like the middle of it, and then it continues zooming in. There's like flow 2 where it's multiple. There's bounce where it bounces. But keyframes are really, really fun because, oh my gosh, stop bouncing. But you can like allow it to move between, like maybe zoom in here, and then if I get a different Timekeeper thing right here, you can immediately go from zoom in, and then like let's zoom it in here. Can you tell I recently got Timekeeper cookie? Yes, I did. So it can zoom in like that once, and then it like flows very smoothly. Now another thing I like to do is audio. So I personally screen record an audio, and then I go to add audio, extract, and then I will extract an audio. So let's say here, I think this is one of my friend's edits. I think this is Rolla's edit. But so that's how I get my sound in here, and then I will export it, and then I'll put it on YouTube. Yes, copyright, I get it. It fears me. Trust. But there's all that, and then you can put the text. So let's do Timekeeper cookie. You can mess with it with the fonts. I always use the War God font, which is just a personal style, and then I like doing a bold, and then I use this for the effects. But you can do different effects to make it like glow in certain ways depending on what you want. We can do this for Timekeeper cookie, and you also have animations for the text, for how you want it to move. You can also put keyframes on the text as well. So if I want it to enlarge at some point, we're going to go here, and then let's add the keyframe here. It'll also move, and then you can move around it, so it'll just like bounce around, right? So that's usually how I make a lot of edits. And then of course you want to get a watermark. I don't have mine in my clipboard, but I usually have my usual one, and then I put it right down there. And then I personally put my watermark on 53 so it doesn't fade, so it fades decently without it looking messy, which is like here. But you want to get a watermark so nobody steals your work when you make a really peak edit. So if, let's say, we didn't want to use keyframes, right? Hold up, let's remove all of this. Another thing we can use is the animations. So for animations, let's get timekeeper a bit back here. When you want to do an animation, let's make these a little shorter so it flows better. Make sure you have your pictures wherever you want it. And then there's different kinds of animations. So where is animations? I started out using animations before I figured out how to use keyframes. Now I use that. These usually start, I personally like the combo ones. And I feel like that's a really great place to start. And especially when you're, why are so many of these premium? I remember when it wasn't premium. But I would do like distort right straight into sway out and sway in are now premium. Frick. Maybe just ignore what I was about to say. Maybe? Is there any non-premium stuff? Dear stars. Oh, zoom 1. So then it flows smoothly like that. I did that, or you can do a mixture of the animations and the keyframes. It really just depends, and it really just depends on your editing style and how you want to figure out all of that jazz. Yeah, I'm not really great at tutorials. Hopefully this helps, maybe. But when you're using keyframes, another thing is depending on the picture, I depend where I want to move the photo personally. So like let's go to, this is an edit that is work in progress that should come out either today or tomorrow. So depending on where I want it to move depends where, because like for instance right here in the major part, oh my gosh, can I scroll? So I like zooming in on this photo of Ray, so I start it from the left and then I put another one zoomed in on Ray. So it kind of does it like that. And especially for this picture, I like either starting it at the head or the feet and moving it diagonal so it goes to the right way with her body and stuff. Yeah, hopefully this helps. I don't know.